the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Laguna Beach. My name's Noreen Kukkonen, and I'm very pleased to be your worship associate this morning. We have a program that reflects the poignancy of the border crossings, as well as the realities that we really don't hear so much of during this period of political posturing. Our speaker is Nicole Ramos from the organization Otro Lado. She's based in Tijuana and San Diego, and the organization is a humanitarian effort to assist deportees and those seeking asylum on both sides of the border. So we'll have a good experience hearing facts today from Nicole, and we look forward to hearing from her. We gather together as a community of seekers to honor the interdependence of life, to respect the dignity of all, and to honor the land that we humbly inhabit. We acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional territories of the First Nation Ahashiman and Tongva tribes, and honor their care of this land and commit to being worthy stewards. We are a small but dedicated spiritual community here at UUFLB, and we're always pleased to see new faces. If this is your first time here at our fellowship, we'd love to meet you. If it feels right, please stand and tell us your name so that we can get to know a bit about you. And if you wish to hear about future programs here at UUFLB, please sign the clipboard that we have at the back of the hall. And also, please feel at home here. Are there any introductions today? Okay. This is a good time for all of us to stand and greet each other as we like to do on Sunday morning. Give it some love and thunder in honor of Oakley and Linda.
Good morning, everyone. Early morning out there in Hawaii.
Hey, Don. Yeah, it's a little after 8 a.m. here.
Roosters and stuff are probably still crowing.
That's a nice, friendly group. Our Unitarian Universalist principles are given on the reverse of today's program. If these are your beliefs as well as ours, please know that you have a place here at UUFLB. Whoever you are, whomever you love, no matter your age or gender, your ancestral or ethnic background, and whatever sincere questions that you bring with you today, we welcome you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and ethical beings. We're a mighty fellowship. We are a little small, but we're a mighty fellowship, and we all try to take part in ways to assist each other in our spiritual quests. There are many of us who contribute. The music today by our guest pianist, Sue Bridas. The facility care and prep for Sundays by Paul and Candy. Dara, Don, and Dale handling the technical needs. These functions are essential to our service and so generously performed by our members. You're greatly appreciated, as is everyone who helps to maintain our programs and this worship space for our shared journey. Another way we support UUFLB is through our financial contributions, and it's pledge time. So if you haven't done so, please make your pledge for this essential function that keeps our doors open. I'd like to, Don, to post the slide from Standing on the Side of Love, please. Well, perhaps it's coming. The slide is a slide of pictures of persons holding a banner that says, "Standing on the side of love." It's a slogan of our church. There it is, the Reverend Tracy Sprouse Jenks of the First Unitarian Society of Plainfield, New Jersey, reflects on the meaning of this project that bears the name. That is our calling, to stand on the side of love. That is our calling, our challenge, our theological ground on which we are invited to place ourselves on all issues. Love roots us in our faith and in our community and in all the relationships we know and can forge through our reaching out across the boundaries of religion, of difference, to the new relations we can develop. It's not a sentimental or easy love. It is love of neighbor. It is a people-first position. It is a place of compassion. Standing on the side of love goes beyond tolerance and places us squarely in a place of mutuality and respect. And it positions us to be a religion for these times when the driving forces of politics, globalization, and fear divide us as a people. We stand on the side of love when we seek immigration justice today. Our chalice lighting this morning is by Paul Bogdan. So Paul will help light the chalice, which is the only symbol we have in this religion. It's a symbol of light. How perfect. Thank you, Paul. Our Jewish friends have observed Passover this week as they commemorated the exodus of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt more than 3,000 years ago. The holy days are a time to celebrate freedom and family and encourage spiritual growth. Our chalice lighting prayer today is from the Jewish faith and encourages all of us to these same goals. At this time, if you're at home, it's a good time to light your candle if it's nearby. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. Our centering thought today is from Pope Francis. It's a little bit long. I'd like you to join me in reading it. Ooh, hard to see maybe. Loving our neighbor as ourselves, being firmly committed to building a more just
world
in which everyone
which
has
everyone has access to the goods of the earth, in which all can develop as individuals and as families, and in which fundamental rights and dignity are guaranteed to all.
number 100 in the hymnal. I've got peace like a river.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like a raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Thank you, Sue. Each week we recite our continued belief in certain goals. This is our unison affirmation. The words will be on the screen, and I invite you to stand as we read these words. We affirm, excuse me. May we be reminded here of our highest aspiration and inspired
To bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity.
and
May we
And we
know
know once again
a connected
that we are
not
isolated
isolated beings,
universe
but
but
connected in
connected
mystery
in
and
mystery and
miracle
miracle
to the universe, to this
to this
community,
community
and to each other.
We are unable to shine, as Reverend Tom Owen Toll encouraged us to do several weeks ago. A spark from another person has the power to rekindle our own light. During this time of joys and sorrows, we share both the good news and the bad. We celebrate the joys together, and we know that support from our community can be a spark to someone who needs it. At any time, if you have a joy or sorrow in your heart and choose not to discuss it with us today, please feel free to light a candle in recognition. So we generally first go to Zoom. I tells you how UUFLB. It's time for some serious conversation. Pardon me. Why did the bike stop donating? Because it was too tired. But we aren't tired. We show that in all the ways we help keep this organization afloat. So look at all we do to sustain our fellowship and help support UU good works in the wider world. Donations for the greater good are a sterling example. Add your donation to the basket that Candy is passing, or send it by electronics or snail mail today.
We could all sing From You I Receive. From you I receive, to you I give, and together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, and together we share, and from this we live.
Candy. This morning, I'd like to read a prayer to you for meditation. All that we share is sacred. Was written by Andre Moll in honor of two Unitarians who took risks during World War II to help save lives in desperate need. Otro Lado, as well as Border Angels, our program next Sunday, help many desperate individuals as they seek a better life. This poem reminds us that when we aid those who need our help, we gain much more in return. It's better to give than receive applies to more than money alone. As we gather together, may we remember when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. It's my pleasure this morning to welcome Nicole Ramos back to our fellowship. We've enjoyed her insights in previous times, and it's great to see her again. Nicole directs the Border Rights Project for the humanitarian organization Otro Lado. This multifaceted project conducts human rights monitoring, legal orientation, and accompaniment for asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexican border, engages in advocacy before international human rights monitoring bodies, and spearheads federal litigation challenging border enforcement policies which restrict access to the U.S. asylum process. Nicole also serves as a consultant for a multi-year research study of the impact of restrictive border policies on the health outcomes of pregnant migrants and their children, as well as an adjunct professor at Temple University Beasley School of Law, where she teaches a class on the border and movement lawyering. She's a frequent lecturer at universities and law schools throughout the United States and Mexico regarding the impact of restrictive border policies on the right to seek asylum. Welcome to our fellowship, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Noreen, and everyone for having me with you this morning. I have a brief presentation with a couple of videos to show you all, to give you a real bird's eye look of that's happening on the border. And a visual aid is worth more than all of the words that I can possibly share with you this morning. I'm going to share my screen and share the presentation with you, and feel free to ask questions as I'm going through. Can everyone see that? I hope so. If you can't see it, give me a shout. So as Noreen mentioned, I am the director of our Border Rights Project, which is based in Tijuana, and our work covers both what's happening with asylum seekers in Mexico, as well as beyond those who are making the route up, as well as asylum seekers who are just have immediately crossed the border and in open air detention sites in San Diego County. Noreen did a great job of introducing our work. I'm just going to add a couple of things. As she mentioned, we are binational. On the north side of the border, we're working with immigrants in California that are both detained as well as non-detained. And we're also working with immigrants in the southeastern United States in Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia. We have a small project out there because often people who come through the border get sent to the southeastern United States. It's a really difficult place to have an asylum case be heard, especially when you're in detention. Our Border Rights Project in Tijuana, we provide in-person legal orientation, both in our office once a week, and then a few other times a week we go out to shelters throughout Baja California, not just in Tijuana, but also in Mexicali and Ensenada. And we provide legal orientation and give an opportunity for people to ask their individual questions. And of those cases that we might be identifying, we will identify people who are even more vulnerable than the average asylum seeker. Maybe they have a medical vulnerability, maybe they're an unaccompanied minor, maybe they're a member of the LGBTQ community, and we might be able to accompany them a bit further in their quest to seek asylum and have their human rights respected. We also conduct human rights monitoring at the U.S. Port of Entry, where we're basically watching the watchers, CBP and Mexican Immigration and National Guard, and how they're interacting with asylum seekers and perhaps violating their rights. We also have online legal orientation. We have a TikTok channel that has now over 100,000 followers, and we have Know Your Rights content in 19 different languages. This is something people can access on from their own phones, but we also show these videos with our partners at 24 migrant shelters in Colombia, Guatemala, and Mexico. This is really important, especially in terms of indigenous languages, because if you look at individuals who may have died while in Border Patrol custody, particularly children, many of them were indigenous and couldn't communicate with the people that had them in custody about their medical challenges. And finally, all this information of working with individuals and communities, we take all of this data and we use it to sue the government through a variety of different styles of lawsuits. So this is, this is just a snapshot of what it looks like with people who are waiting. This particular shelter in the photo, you can see people are sleeping in tents. There's a leak in the roof. It's during the raining season, and there is a lot of water coming into the living space that's going to, if not has already, flood those tents. So people are in a variety of different shelters. Some are actually worse than this. Some people are sleeping in abandoned cars, cardboard boxes on the streets, or outdoor encampments. There's high rates of violence against asylum seekers in Mexico by authorities as well as organized crime. And most migrants lack access to medical care, mental health treatment, employment where they're not exploited, stable housing, they're battling with food security, and a fair number of them are having to change their location every so often because the people that are persecuting them are hot on their trail. Oops. So the only way right now that a person can access the asylum process at the port of entry is if they go and make an appointment using this smartphone application called CBP-1. The app has a lot of problems. Some of them are that it's only available in 3 languages, Haitian Creole, English, and Spanish. So if you speak another language, and a lot of asylum seekers speak another language, it's a very diverse place, the border, you're going to have a hard time accessing that system. It's difficult for people to navigate if they're not tech savvy, if they don't have a phone that has a new enough operating system to support the app. There's no accommodations for people who have disabilities. And if that was not even, worse, there's also system-wide glitches, outages that can take the course over days where people are just unable to use the app. And then there's a limited number of appointments per day. That does not reflect any way the actual processing capacity of CBP at ports of entry. For example, at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, there's a processing capacity of around 800 persons that they can have there at one time. And there's only around 300 to 400 appointments that are available at that port of entry per day. So that leads to people who have to wait as long as 9 months before they can even access the asylum process. Unaccompanied minors, this photo is some of the unaccompanied minors that we have accompanied over the last year. They're not allowed to make a CBP-1 appointment. If they try to make an appointment, the system won't allow them to advance. However, they technically have the right to present themselves at a port of entry. But when they try to do that, they are routinely told to pick rocks, scram, go away. CBP does not process them upon walk up. And very often Mexican immigration, which is at the port of entry pretty much all the time, will intercept them and then turn them over to child welfare officials with the DEEF. That's the name of the child welfare agency. They will languish for months and sometimes years in orphanage, foster home type situations because there's no one to get them out of custody. Last year in 2023, AOL accompanied 312 unaccompanied minors to the port of entry and forced CBP to let them in. That includes minors from Mexico, minors from El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Afghanistan, and several countries from the African continent. What happens when people who try to present themselves at a port of entry don't have a CBP-1 appointment? Most people will try to go and have a conversation with a CBP officer and they will be turned away. I'm going to play a short video for you right now, which is audio of one of those incidents. The audio is from a plaintiff in a recent lawsuit that we filed last year against CBP for this very thing, for turning asylum seekers away who don't have a CBP-1 appointment. Let me just share that with you. Change screen. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is.
Ayuda, por favor, mi vida es con peligro. Por favor, ayúdame. Necesitamos entrar. Por favor, me apego a pedir asilo.
Diego worked for the Mexican government, where he witnessed corruption. When he refused to participate, he was assaulted and a victim of an attempted kidnapping. Facing threats by his government colleagues and members of organized crime, Diego and his wife had to flee. Nowhere in Mexico was safe anymore.
Oficial, soy mexicano y ocupo las ayudas. De favor, me apego a pedir asilo político a las leyes de Estados Unidos. Por favor.
When Diego first reached the US border, he thought he'd be able to seek asylum. Diego didn't know the government was using a new smartphone app called CPB-1 to schedule appointments for asylum, and they were turning people away if they showed up at the border without one. To be clear, under US law, people have a right to ask for protection, whether they have an appointment or not. Still, border officers turned Diego away. Diego and his wife were then forced to go into hiding in Tijuana. They tried to book an appointment, but CPB-1 required them to list a mailing address in the US. They'd just fled their home. They didn't have a new address yet. So Diego sought help from the organization Otro Lado, which got them food and shelter. Then an attorney accompanied Diego and his wife to the border and told the US officer everything they had been through. But the officer didn't want to hear Diego's story. He told Diego to go away and instead ask Mexican immigration officers, agents of the very government he's running from, for help with CPB-1, an app created and run by the US government.
So you speak to the Mexican immigration official.
He's a Mexican citizen. He can't speak with a Mexican immigration official.
Oficial,
That's what they're there for.
Oficial,
Not
soy
for
mexicano.
Mexican citizens, sir.
Oficial, soy mexicano y ocupo asilo, de favor.
Diego's story.
Nicole, you're still muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now? I'll assume yes.
Yes.
Okay. For those of you who are wondering to know the end of that story, Diego did make it into California when we filed our lawsuit. But that is happening to asylum seekers every single day, including Mexican asylum seekers like Diego who are fleeing the Mexican government. You know, they are trapped in a country where they fear persecution, which is contrary to both international asylum law and asylum law as it is incorporated into US federal law. I'm gonna go back and share my screen. People who refuse to leave the port of entry, who insist on being processed, they are often threatened with or detained by Mexican immigration or National Guard if they are not Mexican citizens, and then they could be deported back to their home country or just removed to further away from the border, just get them, you know, down to southern Mexico, and then they'll have to make the journey again if they even make it. And then some people who just can't wait. They can't wait 7-9 months. They will enter without inspection. And that means crossing in between ports of entry. And if they are apprehended, they will usually be transported to one of the open air detention sites. This is an example of one of the open air detention sites. They are throughout San Diego County, mainly in the desert near Jacumba and the Otay Mountain Wilderness Range. Mexican National Guard on the Mexico side will frequently assault and rob migrants that are trying to cross before they can get to the camps, as well as organized crime. Sometimes there's not really a big difference between Mexican National Guard or organized crime. The only food, water, medical supplies, tents, tarps, anything, first aid that people at the open air detention sites get is from NGOs like AOL and mutual aid groups in the community. And unsurprisingly, 2 people have died as a result of conditions in the camps since September, including a child. Border Patrol doesn't let anybody leave the camps. And in fact, they tell people who are trying to leave the camps that if they do, they will be arrested and then immediately sent back to their home country. And I have just a little bit of video to show you what's happening at the camps and share with you a recent victory. We filed challenges to these open air detention camps and receive a favorable ruling about children, including children traveling with their families. They have to be processed quickly out of those camps instead of letting them stay there and languish for days.
Sorry, Nicole, one more time, you're muted again.
I'm never gonna get this right. I have one more opportunity. So you know, although that was a big win for us to get the federal court to rule that these children are technically in Border Patrol custody and they are entitled to the same legal protections as any other child in immigration custody, which means they've got to be processed expeditiously. You can't let them to freeze to death on a desolate mountaintop with no food or water. And it's shocking that our government would try to fight us on that point, but here we are. So we did have that win, but they are still allowed to keep single adults in these facilities. And that is the fight we're working on right now, just to close these sites down entirely. One of the other things that we've been seeing in the last year or so is family separation, different than the family separation we saw under Trump, focusing on adults. But since September, we've tracked over 1,400 cases of family separation at the border and helped over 1,500 of those family members find their lost loved ones. So families that entered Border Patrol custody in as a family unit were then released to the streets of San Diego, sometimes on different days, and we were able to help them reunite in different locations. But sometimes family members would be shipped off to ICE custody, to Southeast Louisiana, to Mississippi. And in some cases, some of those family members that they separated were deported back to their country of origin. As a result of these family separations, AOL, along with partner organizations like Jewish Family Services and San Diego ACLU, filed a civil rights complaint challenging these separations, and we're waiting for a response on that. We have also been doing advocacy before the United Nations Working Group on Enforced Disappearances, which is a working group that focuses on disappearances of human beings by the governments of which they are subject to, arguing that these family separations and disappearing people into this black hole of CBP and ICE custody without giving any information to family members or attorneys, such as ourselves, because we make inquiries in every single case that we identify, qualifies as an enforced disappearance by a state and violates international law. So that's just kind of a snapshot of what's going on. That's a lot of really depressing information. So in order to close out my presentation, I want to give you something positive, because ultimately, you know, we have to believe that another world that welcomes refugees is possible. I'm going to share this video with you of a young child that we accompanied to the port of entry. Her mother had not seen her in 4 years. Her mother had left Haiti because of the violence, but she couldn't take her daughter. The daughter stayed behind with a grandparent who became unable because of illness to care for the child, and everything going on with Haiti at this moment just was unsafe for this girl child to remain. So she migrated with family friends who came to the border. They got CBP1 appointments, she did not. And so we walked her up to the port of entry, fought with CBP for her to get in. She went to a shelter for migrant kids for a few weeks before she could be reunited with her mom. And so this is a video. This is not the only video that our clients send us of this nature. This is a video that her mom sent. She had put on social media and sent to us just to show us what this reunification looks like. So imagine you have a child, you have a mother, and you have not seen them in 4 years, and you weren't even sure if you were going to see them again because of all the violence that has been happening all around you.
Nicole, I can't see anything on our end. Maybe you could share the screen, I guess, in a different way. Thank you.
What was that?
We weren't able to see the video on our end.
Hold on. Let's see. Can you
Excellent.
see, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me speed it up a little bit. Okay.
Expérience moins à bon Dieu. Bata supposé douter. Qu'aime pas sauter parce que. Hey! Ça doit pitié. Yeah! Ça doit pitié, na na na. Holy gospel. Hey!
Sorry, Nicole, just one more time.
I'm the worst at technology. That was my last video, my last slide. Thank you so much for your attention this morning and inviting me to speak. And I just want to put out a plug. Those who are interested in volunteering either in Tijuana or our efforts in San Diego, feel free to send an email to either myself or our volunteer coordinator. I'll put that email in the chat for those who are interested.
Thank you, Nicole. We have a lot to think about today. The problems are very complex. We appreciate what you can share with us. Thank you. Our closing hymn this morning is number 165, One More Step. And I think the words will be up there. So let's all sing. Stand, please.
One more step, we will take one more step till there is peace for us and everyone. One will take one more step. One more word, we will take one more word till every word is heard by everyone. We will say one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer till every prayer is shared with everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We will one more song till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Thank you very much, Sue. It's time to extinguish our chalice and end our service for today. As we get ready for our final song, please consider these words from the Reverend Roy T. Bennett as they relate to the desperation of people who every day need our understanding and compassion. Learn to light a candle in the darkest hours of someone's life. Be the light that helps others see. It is what gives life its deepest significance. Please remain standing and renew our commitment to making the world a better place with our hymn, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace with eternally.